This is Jack Fishman behind the camera with Maestro Sebastian Lessing talking about the San Antonio Symphony's Tchaikovsky Festival. The first concert, Friday, April 29th, features Symphony No. 3 and the first piano concerto. Tell us about these two works.
Well, first of all, the Symphony No. 3, which is in the first half of the program, is a very significant piece in Tchaikovsky's life, and that's why I also put it in the beginning of the festival, because it sort of is the bridge between the early and the later symphonies, saying Symphony No. 2 and 1 and 2, and then the famous last three symphonies. What he really achieved in this symphony is bridging the national folk tunes that he embraced in all of his music with Western influences when it comes to form of symphonic structure. And what's also interesting about the Polish symphony, it is the only symphony in a major key. All other symphonies are in minor keys, and this is the only one in a major key, and also the only one that has 5 movements. These 5 movements reflect a little bit a model that he was studying, and that was Robert Schumann's symphonies. At the time, he was a big fan of Robert Schumann and studied his scores very carefully. And it pays in a certain way a reference to his 3rd symphony, the Rhenish. And so that's why he also chose 5 movements, and there's also a movement called alla tedesca in German style that actually pays also reference to one of the movements in Schumann's Rhenish Symphony. Polish, mainly because it uses a lot of Polish folk tunes and Polish dances, like the famous finale is a la Polaka in Polish style, so like a famous Polish dance. So this symphony is the bridge, and that links the two worlds of the early and the late Tchaikovsky together, and I think it's a wonderful way to start the festival. Yeah, about the first piano concerto, there's maybe not much to tell apart from the fact that the person he showed it first to, Nikolai Rubinstein, who was very, very important in all of his life. He conducted most of his symphonies, actually premiered them. Really was harsh on Tchaikovsky when he saw the first time the score. He really said, this is an unplayable piece, it's dreadful, it's disgusting, it basically stinks, which is quite strong. And of course, being such a sensitive person as Tchaikovsky was, he was completely depressed. Nevertheless, this piece may be one of his most popular pieces ever written. So we have the pleasure to have here Freddie Kempf, a young pianist from the UK I worked a lot with. Actually, we performed all 5 piano concertos by Beethoven together in Sydney and Hobart, and he's a wonderful, dynamic young pianist who won at the age of 15 the famous BBC awards, Young Performer Awards, and started a huge career in Europe and also in Japan, because he's half Japanese, half English. And he's a wonderful musician who you will really enjoy, because his passion and his commitment and also his risk-taking playing is thrilling, and his technique is so superbly stylish that nothing is ever a struggle for him. You should really listen, if you can, on YouTube to his Chopin etudes, which are, I think, a landmark of these etudes. Also interesting to know about Freddie and the link to Tchaikovsky. He won the 3rd prize in the Tchaikovsky competition when he was 21 years old. Usually that's maybe not such a great thing. 3rd prize doesn't sound so great, but the outcry in the audience and the Russian press was so enormous that he became a superstar overnight in Russia, and gained also here a lot of expertise for Tchaikovsky, of course, because if the Russians think somebody plays Tchaikovsky well, that's a big thing. And a lot of careers started like this. The famous pianist Igor Pogorelic, for example, who didn't win Chopin competition, became a superstar overnight because he didn't win the competition, and Marta Argerich decided to leave the jury because of that. So you see, there's also a connection to this, and we see sometimes not winning the first prize might be more important. And so we welcome Freddie Kemp for this wonderful cycle, and where we discover more of his works, Tchaikovsky's works, during the festival.
So Freddie Kemp will be playing Friday, April 29th, the first piano concerto, and also on the very last concert, Saturday, May 7th, he'll play the second piano concerto, and in the middle, on Sunday, May 1st, he's playing chamber music with Camerata San Antonio. So this concert, the Polish Symphony and the first piano concerto, is Friday, April 29th. Thank you.